This is the Soft Power Podcast, episode number 7. Hi, I'm Susan Callender. Thanks so much for joining me today. Imagine for a moment that you arrive in your meeting room, whether it's physical as in a face-to-face interaction or online, it doesn't really matter. What does matter is that from the moment you enter, people call out your name, and you do the same to them. You're smiling and greeting people, making small talk, the usual stuff. You feel comfortable, and people are obviously happy to see you. You have what we call presence. Now imagine the same physical space or a virtual room, and you're wondering if you should have dressed better. Even if it's just your top half that's visible, maybe you should have been more business casual. You're either thinking, oh geez, what side is my name tag supposed to be on? Or, I wish I'd thought to give myself a cool screen name like one of your colleagues did. Before the meeting is underway, your colleagues are sharing their plans for the upcoming weekend, and you're hoping no one asks you because your plans are always boring compared to theirs. You glance at the agenda and you see you're expected to provide an update on a project, and you're on right before Amy. Well, that stinks because Amy is a much better presenter because she always manages to weave a story into pretty much anything. Plus, she's funny. So even if she has nothing of substance to report, she still always manages to make everyone laugh or smile. And your thoughts go on and on and on and on, and you realize you are so wrapped up in yourself, you're completely zoned out and not paying attention. Were you able to picture yourself in either of those scenarios, even to a small extent? I have a question for you. When is the last time you found yourself so consumed with what a certain group of people, let's say your coworkers or your boss, would think of you? And by think, I'm referring to your appearance, how you speak, your intelligence, where you went to school, how skilled or knowledgeable you are, that you spent more time thinking about them than whatever it was that you were actually hired to do. Having all those thoughts, plus likely a few more on your mind, is a lot, maybe even too much. And that's pretty much what happens when you decide to be self-conscious. And that's right, when you decide to think or focus more on yourself and your needs and your personal concerns, rather than placing all of that focus on the value you provide. Or better yet, what you professed to be able to do for this company. What you're ending up doing is to take away from them in an effort to give more to yourself. If you've ever joined me on a masterclass or sat in an audience while I spoke on stage, you may be very surprised to hear just how relevant and near and dear to my heart this topic is. And when I look back on so many years, a professional lifetime really, and the countless situations where I was so tightly wound because I was acutely aware of my appearance and my actions, well, all I can say is I wish I could have those years back. I consider that time, decades, to be wasted, and that's why we're talking about self-consciousness and why it's in your best interest to get over yourself. Why not start today? Today, I'm happy to announce that I'm a reformed self-conscious person. Not only have I now done a TED Talk broadcast live to over 32,000 people, I regularly make live and recorded videos. I no longer place the burden of initiating conversations on others. And well, I finally launched this podcast. And here's a secret. It took me a long time after I had the initial idea. How about you? If you had to rate yourself on a scale with number 1 being a normal degree of care and conscientiousness and 10 being far too concerned with what people think, where would you fall on the scale? I don't want you to needlessly waste another moment worried about some aspect of yourself that's not necessarily meaningful to others. And it's true that the things you assume people are focused on actually largely go unnoticed. That's called the spotlight effect, and we can talk about that on an upcoming episode. Now let's make sure that we're on the same page when discussing the characteristics of being a self-conscious person. When you're self-conscious, you're simply preoccupied with the superficial aspects of yourself, like your appearance or intelligence. of everything I just said, let's make the operative word preoccupied. Self-consciousness becomes a preoccupation because your first impression has already been made and established within 3 to 7 seconds of your making an entrance, and that includes both online and in person. So if you've already made that first impression and you're still completely engrossed in thoughts about yourself after people have already made their first impression determination about you, stick with me, because if you truly want to relax and finally stop being so concerned about other people all of the time, I have a few tips that will help you to become more present and to have a presence, which is truly the preferred state of consciousness. Whether you're completely comfortable in your own skin or you're shy or an introvert, what I'm about to share with you will be helpful if you want to better understand your thoughts and why you're so introspective, or if you want to develop more positive self-esteem. Also, you don't understand why being self-conscious is preventing you from making the gains you should have accomplished some time ago, because people feel your energy, and when they feel that you are inwardly focused, they will select another person who they feel will be more inclusive. Now, you may not realize that the extent to which you're too focused on yourself may be a problem, but it is safe to say that if you avoid social gatherings when you know and like the people attending just because you don't have the right outfit, if you don't speak up in meetings when you're very familiar and knowledgeable on the topic, you may be too inwardly focused. It's also likely that you're not able to just laugh it off when someone or something has caused you to feel a bit embarrassed in front of others. Instead, you choose to react angrily, or you stop speaking and you shut down, and you're just not able to get over it and move on. Learning to laugh at yourself is definitely a gift, not just to you, but to everyone around you. Now, I understand it can be challenging to learn this because it's not as if you're constantly tripping on cracks on sidewalks all day or accidentally letting out a burp when it's your turn to speak in a meeting. But trust me, when you become mindful and aware of how your decisions and actions affect others, which is self-awareness, it will completely change your life for the better. What this boils down to is we need to know how others view us in order to know ourselves better and how we relate to the world. And while that might be true on occasion, our closest colleagues and friends see things we can't. So seeking honest feedback from people who truly matter in your life and success is absolutely essential. It'll also help to recognize the extent to which you may be labeling yourself at certain times and never remembering to remove those labels. So, for example, what names do you call yourself when something doesn't go as planned? Do you ever label yourself as not being as good as another person? This is so easy to do when you're not paying attention to your thoughts, but it is embedded in your self-conscious. So that means thinking of yourself in unflattering terms is super destructive to your psyche. What would people think of you if you called them the same names you call yourself? In all likelihood, you'd have very few friends and many colleagues that didn't care for you, correct? When you not only understand but also recognize in your daily life that people respect and respond to people who show up with confidence and presence, you would be much less likely to present yourself in any way that diminishes your true, good, generous, kind, natural character. So what can you do to start getting over yourself? Start by taking a good hard look and listen to your self-talk. The first step in letting your light shine on others and promoting a polished presence is to listen to yourself. What's going on in your mind? Is it a series of negative thoughts that make you feel pretty crappy? Or are you always looking on the bright side? Take a couple of minutes every day to sit in silence and listen to the tone of your inner voice. How calm and peaceful is it? Or are you agitated? It's always there. It's just a matter of whether or not you pay attention to it. It might even help to write down your thoughts in a journal every morning, so that you can get a better idea of how positive or negative your self-talk is. Keep in mind that it's playing on a loop all day, so it is in your best interest to make it the best possible thoughts that you could have on your mind. You can also test your sensitivity. The next time you feel someone may be judging you or has made you feel bad about yourself, take a step back and write down or seriously think about why you feel that way. Ask yourself, could I have interpreted what was said or done differently? May I have a more positive thought about it? You might find that your interpretation was clouded by your own negative thoughts, and that the other person has nothing but good intentions. That is what happens most often. I'm not saying by any means to ignore your intuition and your gut. There's a reason why you were feeling perfectly calm, then butterflies suddenly found their way into your stomach moments before you took the stage. It's not likely that you'll have an upbeat chat with your teeth clenched, or that you'll offer a warm smile and a hug when you feel threatened. So listen to your intuition. Just try to move past whatever emotion you're feeling and be in charge of yourself and your emotions in a productive and unselfconscious way. This may seem like a foreign concept to some of you because we are living in the age of selfies and having video cameras at the ready. And when that is your reality every day, everywhere you go, and most definitely in the media, it's no wonder why you may not immediately be on the same page with me when it comes to toning down your self-conscious persona. What we're focused on the Soft Power podcast is your professional image and not necessarily how you show up on TikTok. Well, let me change that. It is about TikTok if that is the platform where your audience or the people who buy your products and services is located. I'm merely suggesting that you be mindful of your image and how you're perceived. Why does that matter? Well, let's think about it from the perspective of the receiver. When you give of yourself and you make the decision to laser focus on the wants, needs, and desires of the other party, it's like they've received a gift from you. And they have because your time is valuable. You're valuable. Knowing yourself and what you have to offer others is a key element in your professional and personal success. People who take the focus off their self become more resilient, more reliable, and definitely more likable. So by now you're starting to see that fine line between being present and giving to the people you're with and not being overly conscious of yourself, especially to the extent that people have a negative reaction to you and spread the word in a way that prohibits you from having access to certain opportunities. You're on the right side of the scale if you take pride in your accomplishments, and if you enjoy engaging in social events, and if you apologize for mistakes and take responsibility. Those are all positives. Those are definitely signs of having a good sense of yourself. And you'll recognize if you've tipped the scales in the wrong direction if you're constantly comparing yourself to others, particularly media-created images like actors and people in ads. Get over it. Have you tried to create self-conscious feelings in others as a way to offset your own feelings of inadequacy? What I mean here is that you may have made an unkind comment behind a person's back as a means to make yourself feel better. Do you continually second-guess your words and actions? Are you hesitant about everything and rarely decisive about anything? Get over it. Finally, do you imagine that other people are thinking negative thoughts about you? My friends, get over it. This is your time. When you get it that people are thinking about themselves, you will finally be free of all the mental baggage that is self-consciousness. The great news is self-consciousness seems to lessen with age and experience, hence why teens have it the worst, and professionals and entrepreneurs who are still relatively new to business can experience more bouts of insecurity. And if that sounds like you, this could be your time to make big changes in your life that lead to big things. And I'd like to invite you to take my free mini course that's all about getting out of your comfort zone. You can get access to it at businessclass.expert/comfort zone. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.